Today we have a special guest. It is Netta, and she has been featured in Black Enterprise, Forbes, Business Insider, CNN, and so much more. So Netta, go ahead and tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is amazing. I have been in the DEI space for over 10 plus years. I have been doing this work. Both of my parents are from Liberia. And so when they came to this country, as many immigrant parents do, it was a heavy emphasis on you're either going to be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And so for a long time, I thought I was going to be on the attorney path, and had studied a little bit of that. And then I got into behavioral psychology and communications and the art of rhetoric and how to really understand human behavior, influence people, and race relations, and all like that entire world. I was immersed in for a very long time as a young person. And it always seemed like the work that I was doing was touching DEI, like in a very impactful way. However, it wasn't like I was like aligning DEI or putting that term to it. But as I started to reflect on, my career earlier and throughout, I was like, oh my goodness, I've been doing this work. I've been like an activist from a very young age, and now it's morphed into more of the organizational aspect of things, which I really, really enjoy.
Nice. I love that. So part of your journey, you are working at Unqork. So go ahead and tell me a little bit more about what you do there and how you're able to like put your DEI love with your current role there.
Yeah. So Uncork is really special. I think special to many people, including myself. But we have a codeless architecture platform, and really it gives us the ability to build anything on it. So at Uncork, I am VP of Global Inclusion, and the way that I look at my work is in the form of the three P's, what I like to call the three P's. So the first is people. You have to impact the people and empower them to really drive greater retention and attract more people, right? The second P is practice. So practice is DEI L&D, DEI policies. How do we refine and retool that? And then also RFPs. That's a big one for many organizations, and folks don't talk about it. But I would say now in the industry, about 60 to 80% of RFPs that come in for organizations are asking DEI, ESG based questions. And then the last piece, which is what really ignited me to join Uncork about 2.5 years ago, was the ability to create a product on their application. And that's exactly what I did. I said, you know what? We have the power to do that. I want to build an application that will measure and track the impact of every single employee's DEI efforts here. And then that way we can align it to performance reviews and performance evaluations. So then that way we are removing the subjectivity aspect of it. And we were able to do that. And I think that's just a beautiful thing. But we've been able to really see the results of the impact and the way that we're kind of formalizing and even with the KPIs that we've introduced. So there's a lot that I do, but when I kind of explain it to people, I explain it in the three P's format for them to really understand that.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
At Uncork, is there diversity in each level of your leadership, like the VPs, like every single, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's something that we're really intentional about. And it's one of the reasons why, I had a conversation with the CEO of Uncork, and I said, hey, how do you feel? Here's my recommendation, but how do you feel about us aligning or attaching DEI to the performance reviews of every single employee? He did not budge. He said, absolutely. If we're going to do this work, then we need to do it the right way. And he was the first person to implement it. So through us using our technology, through us really being intentional and holding our own selves accountable for growing, because it's not just about, oh, we have the representation, the aesthetic diversity. Now we look good. It's all right. Well, we're making sure that people are placed in positions for them to grow, but how are we supporting them to get to the next level? to where
Mm-hmm.
one day they're leading. They're the leaders of this organization. And so, um, I think there's definitely been a heavy intentionality around that.
Yeah, that's amazing. What are like certain tools and certain like trainings that you guys would do like to help empower them?
Yeah. So we have, so I have two people that directly report to me, and we have like a full DEI L&D curriculum
Mm-hmm.
throughout the year. And so on a monthly basis, we're doing DEI based sessions. We cover sessions, of course, on implicit bias, cover sessions on building trust and respect from the foundation. We also like to dig in and customize trainings. So we really kind of base it on, hey, what is the team or that department experiencing at this time? And what type of impact or result do they want to see? And then we kind of create this full curriculum. I think the beauty and the steal in Unqork being like, yeah, we're going to go with Netta is, I've done this work for such a long time. So there's not much of like outsourcing we have to do to bring in
Mm-hmm.
folks, educate, we create these from scratch. And
Right.
we have the platform to then scale it so that every single new joiner that comes on, they go through a training and a session as well. There's a quiz, there's a test that they take to make sure that it's really embedded in their mind. So we really, again, I think the word of the day is like intentional. We're
Yeah.
really intentional about all aspects of DEI and embedding it in the business.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
so cool. So when you guys are looking for employees, there's like certain words that you put in your application, not applications, and like the job descriptions that you're advertising for, like to attract diverse candidates. And has it
Yeah.
helped you guys?
So in regards to the job description, our recruiting team has done a great job of implementing and putting DEI as a benefit to the
Mm-hmm.
organization, right? And so we also then put in that we have ERCs, that we pay all of our leaders. We also compensate all 9 groups with a budget as well, which is kind of, it's not as common for many organizations that are at the size of like a 400 to 500 person capacity, or not capacity, but employee population. Um, and we also list, the types of trainings and how we embed that from the onboarding stage. So there are a lot of like different little elements that we plug in. One of the biggest things that we plug in, no matter what level of what the position is, every single person in the organization has a responsibility to execute on a DEI KPI. We put that in the job description because we want people to know we don't care if you're the COO or whoever you are. If you're coming into the organization,
Mm-hmm.
there is going to be this DEI KPI that you're going to execute on.
Yeah.
You're associate level, so it's kind of equitable across the board.
Yeah. So you are also an author. So what are some nuggets that you can pull from your book that you can give to companies that are trying to integrate DEI into their current company culture?
Yeah. Goodness, there's so many nuggets, and which is why I need everyone to like literally run to Amazon virtually and
Mm-hmm.
run to Barnes and Nobles virtually, because that book is out for pre-order right now, and then the hardcover will be out in June.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much that I put in that book. One of the things that I was really excited to talk about is the structure of head of DEI, or chief diversity officer, whoever is leading the DEI efforts, right? There's so many different titles. But one thing I say to leaders is um, they really need to understand the importance of selecting the right person for that role. It can't be, all right, well, who's interested in the organization? Oh, well, that person identifies this way. So we're going to select you. And now you're going to lead these efforts. And then that person's not supported. They're not prepared, right? And they're not able to really execute and drive the organization in the right direction from a DEI perspective. And I also say, think about it. If you're at an organization, would you ever hear leaders saying, well, you know what? We have a CFO role open. And there's some people interested in being a CFO here, even though they don't have the experience and the expertise that they're bringing to
Right.
the table. But we're going to bring them on in. That never happened. So I'm like, why does that happen when it comes to DEI leadership? we can't just place anyone in or put people in positions that are not going to be supported and developed throughout the process. And that's how come we see such a tremendous uptick in DEI leaders leaving organizations, bouncing from one organization to the next and experiencing all of that. So I really kind of dive into here is what you should be looking for to ensure that you are bringing in an impactful DEI leader. And here, most importantly, is the support that they are going to need. If your organization doesn't have a budget to support and put forth towards DEI, but you want a DEI leader, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't cause that person the psychological stress and harm because you're not really prepared, you know? So, again, I think what I love about this book is I poured my heart into the worksheet. So after each chapter, there's a worksheet for every single person within an organization to do. It doesn't matter what level you're on. So I think there's a lot of meat there. And it's not a book that's pointing the finger. It's a book that's giving like, here's the steps that have been tested and proven in order for an organization to be successful. So,
yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I'm so excited for your book to be out and to read it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I've loved chatting with you, learning more about you. It has been amazing.
Thank you so much.